Hi, everybody. Today, we are going to be discussing a couple of topics. The first one is going to be the rent moratorium extension. So if you have not been living under a rock, you know that there has been a moratorium federally on rents. So that has been going on for a very long time throughout the pandemic. And ultimately, the Georgia Association of Realtors and the Alabama Association of Realtors, the two state associations for those two states, challenged the order in federal court. So it went to the Supreme Court, and the National Association of Realtors supported and lended a hand in this lawsuit. And your RPAC money went towards it to say enough is enough. We've got to lift the moratorium on rents. Landlords are still having to pay their mortgage. Property managers are still not getting paid. And some renters are still not paying rent. So the Supreme Court found that the CDC lacked the authority to create this moratorium on rents. And because of that, the Supreme Court did decide to extend it for one more month. So it's extended through the month of July. But the word on the street is that will be the final extension. And then the moratorium will lift and rents will be due. Now, I know that seems like rainbows will come out, but it's going to be a mess because there are going to be lawsuits, there are going to be eviction proceedings, there's going to be all sorts of stuff clogging up the local court systems now. So anecdotally, I'll tell you that property owners I know who own additional investment properties, I've been asking all of them, they haven't had any issues. I would say 95% of the ones I've spoken with have not had any issues with tenants not paying rent, which is very encouraging. I have a contractor I use frequently. He has 25 rental properties, all residential rental properties. And he was telling me yesterday that he hasn't had a single tenant not pay their rent. Now, he said the ones who are always late on rent, still late on rent, but he hasn't had anybody just not pay their rent. So I can't speak to the stats on this and who's been paying and who hasn't been paying, but it looks like we've got one more month and then that moratorium is lifted. So just wanted to bring you up to speed on that in case anybody asks you. And then I wanted to, does anybody have any questions about that at all? Anybody have any stories, anecdotally or not, of people not paying their rent?
Can I ask one question?
Of course.
So this is the rent moratorium. So
Yes.
Is this going to also affect the foreclosures for homeowners that have not been making mortgage payments?
I did not see that addressed in any of the articles I've been reading for the last day. So I don't know.
Okay.
Because
I just have a buyer in a lower price range and he keeps asking, okay, so are we going to start seeing foreclosures come on the market?
Right.
Like, when is all that happening? And I'm like, crystal ball, no more.
Well, and I'll tell you, there's been talk that we may see another short sale bubble happen. So short sales are when the homeowner needs to sell their home, but what they can get for their house is less than what is owed to the mortgage company. So they are short. And a short sale is when the homeowner makes an agreement with the mortgage company to say, if you'll let me sell it and not get foreclosed on, would you, the mortgage company, agree to take less than what is owed to you? And that is called the short. So if the mortgage company allows the homeowner to sell their property for $15,000 under what is owed, that $15,000 is the short. So that's called a short sale. And I anticipate we may see some of that happen again.
Even in this market?
Well, hopefully this market stabilizes, but if we see a glut of short sales come on the market, we may have our inventory fixed too fast. So, and this is all completely just speculation as to what could happen, of course. Short sale. Go ahead.
Please. In this market with the prices of houses, it's kind of hard to believe that somebody would be in a short.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree. Now, in a few years, I can totally see it.
100%.
Yeah, because everybody's overpaying now. And so then that's what's going to happen in a few years.
So Stevie just posted in the chat that she was approached to list one. That's
really a short sale.
That just blows my mind. Like, how does that happen in this market? Because I had that situation with my house, my personal house, because when we bought our personal house, it was in the way top before the market crashed the first time. And until right now, I could not have sold my house. But now I could sell my house and make some pretty decent money.
But what are you going to buy?
I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But I just figured in this market, we wouldn't see many short sales because of how it's increased. Interesting.
Well, and I certainly think they wouldn't necessarily be short right this minute, but by the time they get their house ready to put on the market, it's going to be trying to get ahead of that rush of people who have to sell their house because maybe they haven't paid their mortgage in 6 months.
And I think Rhonda has a question.
Yes, Rhonda, please. Let's see if I can unmute you.
There we go.
Hello.
Hey, I just want to make sure that I understand both the rent and mortgage moratorium. So once this is lifted, and say someone hasn't paid for the entire time, whether it be rent or their mortgage, is all of that back rent due and all of that back mortgage due?
Well, let me be clear. It's, we're colloquially calling it the rent moratorium. It's really called the eviction moratorium, meaning you can't be evicted while you're not paying either your mortgage or your rent. So essentially, eviction proceedings can begin again.
Gotcha.
What is going to happen? So I guess that would depend on the landlord and the tenant, or the mortgagee and the mortgagor. So it's going to be between them to decide what they want to do. If the mortgage companies decide to just kick everybody out and start eviction proceedings on everyone who's behind, I think, you'll find that when you sign those mortgage documents at closing, they have the right to do that, to call the note due. However, short sales were devised to have a workaround, something a little more palatable than eviction. So I think it's going to depend. And I think we're going to see the courts covered up with proceedings. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Well, and I should have been using the correct term. It's the eviction moratorium. Yep. Yeah. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, we're going to move on. So today I just wanted to touch on branding and specifically having consistent branding across social media platforms. So if you're like me, you've just kind of stumbled into your branding as you've gone along. I'm going to lean on the fact that I started this when dinosaurs roamed the earth and we didn't really have anything called branding except maybe like a slogan. We certainly did not have social media the way it is today. So because of that, branding has become now expected. When you become a new agent now, they're expecting you to get your branding package together so that you've got a color scheme. And if you're using a slogan, they're expecting you to have that up and ready to roll. And what I think is the simplest way to do it is when you do your headshot. And if you have not had a headshot in the last year or two, I would recommend you go ahead and get a new updated headshot. When you get your headshot, it would be terrific if you would stick with the same outfit, but do a series of photos. So do one seated, do one standing, do one holding a folder, holding a cat. I don't care. Whatever it is you've decided is going to be your professional headshot. Change cropped out, cropped in, and just do a whole gamut of photos in the same outfit with the same hairstyle. You can change the background colors and things so long as you look consistent. Well, that then gives you 10 photos to be able to work with. Maybe some are full body standing beside your yard sign. Maybe some are just zoomed in on just your face. But what that does is it lets you change up your branding and change up your profile picture and your banner photos on everything, but it's staying consistent with your branding. The whole point of branding is so that it looks different, but exactly like you, so that that your clientele immediately recognizes something you're putting out. So perhaps you're sticking with the same color schemes. Maybe you're sticking with the same graphic that you're going to use every single time. The point is to make it consistent across all platforms. So you want it to look the same on Instagram or in the same genre on Instagram as Facebook, as, you know, I'm going to use the same headshot on everything. That I may change my banner on each one of those platforms, but I'm going to make sure that profile picture is going to be the same. And when I change it on one, I'm going to change it on all of them, because I want people to very quickly be able to identify and recognize who it is and what it's going to be about. So I'm going to tell you, you have more platforms than you think you do. So unless you are by routine checking each one of your social media arenas, you probably are forgetting one or two. And I'm famous for forgetting to check Zillow for direct messages in Zillow. And every time I do it, I feel like the worst realtor who's ever lived, because I look on there and there's going to have been an email from 2 weeks ago and I will have forgotten to check my Zillow direct messages. I haven't been able to figure out how to turn that thing off. I would rather people not leave me messages on Zillow, because I know myself, I'm not consistently checking it. So for branding, let's just list quickly the social media platforms you should be on. You need to be on Realtor.com and Zillow. You're on there anyway, because the licensee statuses directly go from MLS to Realtor.com and Zillow. So you're going to have a profile on there. Whether it's a good one or not is entirely up to you. So you don't want to be on Zillow with some sort of blank generic avatar. So go on Zillow, go on Realtor.com, fill out your agent profile. Now you're probably going to mess it up with Zillow like I have, which is where I somehow accidentally get a regular human person customer profile. And then I've got to go to a different browser and try again to get the actual agent hub profile. So you have a professional profile as a real estate agent. You also can have a Zillow account as you, the person shopping for homes, like the regular public. But I want you to fill out that profile on the agent hub. So you're going to do Zillow, and you're going to do a headshot, your contact info. You want to claim any past sales. You need to be going on there at least once a month and claiming your past sales. So they're going to trickle down from the solds on MLS, and they're going to identify as being yours, and they're going to hang out there for a little while, waiting for you to go, yep, that's mine. Yep, that's my past sale. And you need to confirm those so that they will then go into your profile. So you're going to do that on Realtor.com and Zillow. So Realtor.com also allows you to beef up your profile as an agent. And you're going to want to use the same profile picture on both, or a variation of it that looks similar enough so that there cannot create consumer confusion if folks are shopping both on Zillow and Realtor.com. You want them to easily be able to go, oh, I saw her on Zillow. That's the same agent. Okay. That's the point of the consistent branding. And then I keep talking about Canva, because I really do think you need a Canva account. And Canva will help you manage your other social media accounts. So you're going to have Zillow and Realtor.com, but you're also going to have a Facebook business page. You must have a Facebook business page, because you shouldn't have to pay for leads. You should be able to work your Facebook business page and turn that into a lead generation machine for you. Okay. And the good news is it is completely free. No referral fees, no monthly lead fees. It's just going to require some time on your part to continue to engage and work with that Facebook business page. If you have not set up a Facebook business page, go to our YouTube channel and go to the bottom of the videos, because one of the first videos we put up was us showing you how to activate and make live your Facebook business page. So you want to do that. You want to use, again, your same profile picture. And then if you would like to then expand out into Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat, whatever you want to do, I will say Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same company. So they are the same company. So there are sharing options available, which makes it very easy to say post here, but also post at the same time over to Facebook. So you could kind of kill two birds with one stone if you're going to be doing Facebook and Instagram. Okay. If you want to use something like Canva, you actually can set up what's called your branding colors. So they have like a section on Canva. And Jennifer, if you don't mind throwing up a link to Canva if you haven't already done so. When you go to Canva and you set up your free account, I have upgraded to Pro just because I wanted more photography, copyright free photography available to me. So I went ahead and upgraded for the year for the Pro version. But if you want to use Canva for the free version, you really can make a lot of really robust social media posting material on Canva. And that account is free unless you upgrade. So when you go on there, it may be that once you do the Pro version, then what's made available to you is the branding package. So you pick your company colors, you can upload the company logo, and you can indicate, use these colors as my branding colors. Then when you go to pick backgrounds and templates, you can elect to choose ones that are within your branding color scheme, which is kind of easy and nice. Certainly you don't have to. It's when you're short on time and you need to throw something together really quickly. It's nice to already have that branding package put together. So please pay attention when you're doing your branding across all of your platforms. Be aware that you need to be keeping it somewhat consistent. Do as I say, not as I do, because I'm here to tell you, I am not using all of these platforms as well as I should. Okay. I have tinkered around over the years with the paid for programs. Jennifer and I both have done that, where you're going to pay somebody like Agent Crate, or what was another one we've used, Jennifer? And essentially they're just subscription social media posting machines that just post automatically for you. Okay. I found that was great to fill up my timeline, right? But unless I'm on there engaging with each one of those posts or putting in lots of hashtags that will generate more organic interactions on those posts, it really was just money for nothing. I would have the same couple of people liking or commenting on those posts, which is lovely, right? And I would always thank them whenever I saw them and say, thank you so much for always just giving me a like on all of those posts. But unless I'm in the comment section, working that comment section and tagging people, truly, I'm just paying to have my timeline filled up.
And
yes,
quite frankly, it's a little bit weird when you find out you're on the same platform for that automatic posting, and it's like, oh, I just posted the exact same thing Ashley did.
Yeah, we found out that didn't work. Nope. We both did the same social media posting company, and
it was crazy.
I don't know if y'all know this, we've got a lot of overlapping friends, as you can imagine, knowing each other for 20 some years. So it looked a little odd when we would be posting the same thing. So
and it does sound like we are pitching Canva here, but there is an auto scheduler, so you can fill up your calendar ahead of time if you do knock out a few of those templates in Canva. And FYI, it may be in the works that we are working on some templates ourselves for the office to provide for you guys. So it might be good to go ahead and start exploring that, hint, and getting your feet wet in Canva.
Let me show you just very briefly. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you just very briefly what it looks like to use the social media calendar. So when you go to the content, well, here's my brand kit right here on the left. So you can go fill out your brand kit when you have the professional version. And I can change that. I can change the color schemes, but that is my branding kit. And I can then go there and find things. So if I go to the content planner, you see it pops up a calendar. And then I can say on the 8th, what is it I want to post? And I can pick from my recent works what it is I want to post. And then it'll let me say where I want that to go. So I can go in and make posts, or I can even click and say, okay, well, I want to make a new one. If I can move my little guy here, I can go into my library, or I can go into templates and choose something else and post something else. I can go into my library, find what I want to do, and then it'll just schedule it and post it for when I have indicated I would like for that to go out. So tinker around with that if you feel like it. Jennifer is right. We've been working on some templates, and what that means is we will make something. It will be a template that you can then alter, brand to yourself, toy around with. Maybe it's like a pre-listing checklist, and it's going to be filled out. And if you want to use it as is and just throw your headshot and contact info on there, great. If you want to change some of the checklist items, you'll be able to do that as well. And so what we're doing is we're just trying to make it so that you don't have to do the first hour of designing the thing and deciding what goes on there. Instead, you can start with this template and customize it to yourself. So that's going to be some of the quick tools on Thursdays that we're going to be rolling out in the coming months, so that it's just a piece of marketing material, a piece of buyer or seller document that you can use and customize to yourself. And Canva is the platform we will be recommending you use to alter these, because once you've uploaded your branding information, you know, the backdrops you like, the headshot you want to use, they're just there, and you can insert them into anything from that point forward. It's very, very quick to use and do. Anybody have any questions about consistent branding? Anybody have any suggestions of what they've been doing? I'll give it just a minute, see if anybody wants to pop
Just
in.
to pop in on headshots, we do have the pleasure of having Izzy here as our summer intern. So we have been working on our website because there was a sea of just little black boxes with your names on it on our agent section of our website. So if we do not have your headshot, send us your headshot so we can update that for you. So you're just not a blank box.
And I sent an email out. I sent an email out last week to the list that she came up with that she couldn't find headshots for. So if you got an email from me, it was because we did not see a headshot on yours. So if you know that you don't and you didn't get an email, then let us know that too. But we had at least 25 or 30 on this list that I sent it out to.
And I believe if you don't have a headshot, I saw something at RVAR, maybe
Yes.
there's something coming up with an RPAC donation that you can have your headshot done. So check on that site, check on RVAR and see when that is, if you need a new headshot or updated headshot or a headshot at all.
Yes,
Sources there.
RVAR has goals it has to meet for RPAC, which is the Realtor Political Action Committee, which goes into VAR and NAR's coffers for lobbyists to do things like go to federal court and say, we need the eviction moratorium lifted. So RVAR is having a fundraiser essentially, and what they're offering is a headshot. And I believe it's for a $15 contribution. I believe for a $30 contribution, you can also get a baseball cap. So I got one, I'd put it on and show it to you right now, except I gave it to my dad. So if you need a headshot or you just want to support that and go get a new headshot, you certainly can. And if you go to rvar.com, it'll be on the calendar of events to let you know when it's going to be. You'll also see it. I'll post it when RVAR puts a post out about it on Facebook. I'll share it to the private Facebook group. Okay, then let's move on to unstable or irate clients. I know this is the topic you really are tuning in for, because everybody's got a story about this. So it is my favorite quote, and I really do live by this mantra, which is Mark Twain's quote: "If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first." So occasionally I wake up in the morning and there's some sort of email sitting in my inbox that is just somebody with all caps and lots of exclamation points, and they are worked up. Okay. I immediately think, oh, great. Okay. Got to get in front of that. And I will remind myself that I should eat that big fat frog first thing in the morning. So I really do try to make myself do something when I don't want to do it and get it over with. I had that experience a few weeks ago with a client of mine who found that something wasn't at the house that was supposed to be at the house. And they just knew we were all in cahoots, we being the realtors. Well, that was going to be a very uncomfortable phone call. So I just dialed up their number before I could get nervous about it. And it was ringing, and I was saying, oh, shoot, oh, shoot, oh, shoot, to myself as they were waiting. And of course, I was doing that thing where I was hoping I got their voicemail, but no, they answered, which was good. I needed to get this out of the way, and I needed to talk to them about it. It ended up resolved. They're back to loving me. That's fine. But it was very nerve-wracking. What I have found as being the person here who gets the phone calls when they feel like they're wanting to go above y'all's heads, right? Or they want customers or clients or other agents or other brokers want to tattle about you or complain about you, or let me know that one of my agents is fist fighting in a Walmart parking lot. That's a true story. When they want to call me and tell me that, so I'm the person who gets those phone calls, right? What I have learned is unless I act swiftly, it's going to blow up even further. And oftentimes it gets to me because the agents have not gotten in front of the situation. Okay. Now, sometimes there's going to be no hope, and it's going to have to be me who ends up talking to this frustrated, emotional client. Okay. But a lot of times it doesn't have to be me, but the agent has sort of buried their head in the sand, or only texted back to the client, or just essentially let the problem become bigger. Okay. So what I'm saying is, when something gets uncomfortable, fight the urge that is human nature to say, ugh, I don't even want to think about that or deal with that. Okay. You have to deal with it. I'm not saying you have to immediately call them. I'm just saying, don't hide from a difficult situation. You just need to get a game plan in place to get in front of it. Call me. I'll help you get a game plan in place. Okay. And oftentimes my advice is going to be, don't call them back. Send them an email. A lot of times my advice will be, you need to call them, and you need to call them every single day until this transaction closes, even if you have absolutely nothing to tell them. Even if your phone call is just checking in. I know we're 3 days away from closing. I'm sure you're very busy moving, but I just wanted to call and see if there's anything I can do for you, because oftentimes when it ends up becoming a disgruntled client, it's because of lack of communication. That is the number one reason I would say situations blow up, is just lack of communication. Okay. The second one is too much communication, meaning you don't know when to shut up, and you and the customer just keep going back and forth with little quippy remarks. And at some point you got to step away from that. So call me when things get uncomfortable. If you have the feeling where, oh, I don't like where this is going, call me and let's talk it through. Okay. And when I get those phone calls, what I've learned is most of the time they just want to talk. They just want to rant about everything and anything that has gone wrong, and they want to get it out. So I work very hard, and it's tough not to try to be contrary or bring up truly good points about why it may have happened the way it happened, or where their thinking may be wrong or doesn't jive with what the contract says. And I just let them get it out. Okay. They need to get that out of their system because they need to feel heard. So oftentimes when an irate or even an unstable client gets a hold of me, because they're not feeling heard. Sometimes it's they just want to get somebody in trouble, but a lot of times it's just they're not feeling heard. They're not feeling like someone is listening. So I really do try to just close my mouth, and y'all know that's hard for me. Just close my mouth and let them just get it all out. Last week we had a situation where it was blowing up and the client was demanding an audience with me. They're not my client. I mean, they are my client, but you know what I mean? I'm not their agent. And then I got this email with 8 demands. Okay. By the time he was able to run through everything with me, I was able to distill all of that into 3 basic points. There were 3 basic points this customer wanted. And I was able to get him to agree with me that we should focus on those 3 most important points. But that would not have happened had he not been able to just give me 30 minutes of an earful of anything and everything that had gone wrong. And that's okay. I'm happy to do that. So if you're having trouble with a customer or client, please tap me in and let me see if I can help. I'd be happy to do that. I'm sure all of you have stories of buyers or sellers who just are hard to handle. Jennifer, did you have something to add? Please do.
I'm going to add that as tempting as it might be when you have this situation happen, to just shoot a quick text message. And I know you say email, and email's fine, but me personally, as a human, depending on the mood I am in when I receive your text message or your email, is going to be how I read that text message and how I read that email.
I've seen that happen with her in real time.
Yes, and it could be a very simple, just harmless text message, but if I have just gotten off the phone with a terrible situation, or my car just exploded, whatever has gotten me in my mood, that's how I'm reading it. So sometimes it's best just to take a big gulp of air and swallow and pick up the telephone and call instead of text messaging. I know text messaging seems easier, but I think depending, you already know this client is in a mood, they're already irate. So how are they going to read that text message, even if it was innocent?
I completely agree that phone calls are in the hierarchy, phone calls are going to be the most important tool you have to truly connect and let that client feel heard. I would recommend email and text only after it's been proven that the phone calls have not been able to be effective. Okay. Or I'm telling you, if you're feeling harassed, you call me and I will step in. I'm not going to let a customer or client be aggressive or hateful or inappropriate with any of y'all. And I have had to tell people before that that agent is now off the job. They're working with me because they will not talk to an agent that way. And I have no problem doing that. and they don't have a choice. They are my client ultimately. So I'm certainly not saying when the going gets tough, chuck them over to Ashley. That's not what I'm saying. But if there is ever a situation where you're feeling like you are not able to handle the situation, I want you to call me. I'm looking at you, Erin Reynolds, with your first listing, and you know what I'm talking about. And she handled it beautifully, but when she told me the story later, I was like, Erin, you know, don't let people put you in that position. And it worked out fine.
Yeah, I heard that story yesterday.
Yeah. So anytime you have a client making you feel unsafe, please reach out to me. You do not have to work with a client who is treating you poorly. Okay. Now, a little bit of abuse is just part of the job description. Okay. That's just true. But you know when it has gone too far or when the client is not being appropriate. So just reach out to us. Oh, Lord. Aaron says he's still in jail. Yep. I know. But you know what? You learned a lot with that first listing. Okay, who has questions or recommendations? I'm certainly not sitting here like I have every answer when it comes to unstable or our irate clients. I certainly
no, because I'm just going to interject for just a second.
Yeah.
Yesterday was an email day that we got a request, and it's, you will come to my house and meet me. And I'm like, you're not going to their house and meeting them.
Nope.
So, I mean, you know, I think everybody can agree in this job, it's a lot of managing people and managing emotions and knowing how to finesse all of that. And sometimes you got to tag somebody in. That's all I'm going to say. And Ashley's a good one because she's very humble sitting here saying that, oh, I just let them talk. Yes, she does let them talk and get everything out. But in the end, 95% of the time, she comes out on the top and gets everything back to normal and everybody feeling good. So she's a good one to tag in.
Thank you, Jennifer. My parents would be very pleased to hear that I'm actually using that psychology degree they paid for. So, I mean, maybe I should have gotten a business degree, but you know, that psychology degree, I certainly use that every day as well. So, okay, who has any questions or anything about that? Otherwise, I'll stop recording and we will go ahead and open it up to new business or anything you guys want to talk about.